What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from BackTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. I know, I just said blind film critic and blew your mind. I'm going to do a review here of Lost in Starlight. This is new on Netflix. It's a Korean animated movie, and it's in English, and it has audio description. So, click like and subscribe because I'm creating a little bit of a cult following here. I noticed that that's kind of what we do. We ask people to subscribe, and then later on, we're selling you merch. We're talking about Patreons. We're getting you to give me money. Uh, and then I'm trying to sell you about performance enhancement drugs or VPNs, things that have absolutely nothing to do with movies. That's the kind of future that I envision for myself. I would love to come into here and tell you about my weight loss plan. Because I look like somebody who could sell you that. Uh, Lost in Starlight has a lot of people excited because, well, generally anything anime or anime adjacent, I know anime is generally referred to as being Japanese animation, but we're probably just going to blanket use that to mean anything remotely in the style of. There have been some things that have been in the style of anime that have come out of other studios without actually being from Japan. Um, but there's something uniquely sort of Korean about this in that it's not really interested in the action. It sort of is laid back. It's not even really a fantasy. This feels like it's just a movie. Like, I hate to say this, but we're blind, and I think somebody could legitimately watch this and not know it was animated. I I think it's possible to convince somebody that this is just a regular movie because it feels in so many beats like a regular romantic comedy or a romantic drama, or a dramedy as they were. Um, but it features two characters. One of them is the daughter of an astronaut who's currently stranded on Mars, or dead, or alive. We don't know. We're holding out hope. And she, of course, has aspired to be an astronaut herself and wants to be on the next mission to Mars so that she can continue the work that her family has been doing to help colonize Mars. Um, then she runs into this oh so adorbs Jay. She has this weird some of the things in the movie are kind of hokey because they just follow those typical like rom-com beats where we're all just supposed to like accept that certain things happen for a reason, and like, oh, isn't that just, man, that's just serendipitous. It's like it's also kind of nonsensical, but anyway, she has this moment where she's at her home and she bumps into and presumably breaks her like turntable thing. It's just, which is like it's one that's not even a real one. It's one that she can Bluetooth to. So it's not an old school one. This is not an antique. But she takes it with her, presumably, I guess, to get it fixed, and then runs into literally Jay, who is, who's really upset and it's like, oh my God, I can fix this for you. And thus their relationship begins. Um, and he's kind of stalled in life. He's a former musician, and he's trying to find like a new path in life. Is music really his thing? We'll end up seeing sort of his career, and as she continues to reach for the stars, he will too. It's beautiful like that. There's a scene that's kind of hokey that doesn't really make any sense because he oversells it. So she puts together the turntable, or he fixes the turntable, and to test it, she, instead of like, he's like going to play a record on it because he's like, oh, it's a turntable, we play. So she uses the Bluetooth function on it and plays something that she's like, oh, and she plays this random song, and she's like, yeah, I heard this one time. And it happens to be his song, but it was like a demo that he did that he's like, I only had it up online for like a few minutes. I didn't know anybody had ever listened to. So like in the small window of time that he had it up, she downloaded it and it became her favorite song ever. And she's also run into him. So you do kind of have to accept things like that as you move through the movie. There are a couple things where you're like, okay, well, this is just standard rom-com stuff. Like, oh my God, did you know that we actually went to the same high school, even though we're in a completely different city? So weird. You know, there's always something that brings people together, and it's just like this um, almost improbable circumstance. Well, this is one of them. So she loves his music, even though, and so that's, the catalyst for him so that he can actually have something to do is she gets to talk to him about how much she loves his music and kind of he gets a little bit of that spark back into him about, oh, maybe I could do this again. Maybe music is my thing. Maybe it's my future. I don't know. Or are you my future? This is a romance, so it's possible that you're my future. I don't really know. And we don't really know either. So the movie's going to progress, and both people are going to be offered a chance at their dreams, and they're also going to have to try to find love along the way. It's beautiful. And one of the best compliments I can give this movie is that it doesn't feel like an animated movie. It plays just like a normal romantic comedy or drama. And it doesn't feel like it's hitting beats. It doesn't feel like it's playing to children. I think children might be a little lost or bored by this movie, to be totally honest. It feels like it's playing to adults. It's expecting adults to show up to this movie. I think kids might like it, but I mean, in terms of, I don't know what they're offered right now. We have like Lilo and Stitch, and Peacock just dropped that Dogman movie. They're not on the same level. Like, this is, adults could legitimately enjoy this. I'm convinced that if I found another blind person like me and didn't tell them it was animated, they wouldn't know that it was animated. I'm like, the plot is so regular, so normal, that it's not the kind of thing that you normally think of. There aren't those beats, those cartoonish beats where people like um, try to go for a laugh, or there's not that goofy sidekick character that's tripping over himself with a weird cartoonish voice. None of that. It just plays like a movie with a normal plot and a structure. So, uh, it didn't necessarily blow my mind. I think Netflix is obviously going to make a play for the Oscars with this. I've noticed it's rated by the MPAA instead of having a TV, you know, G or TV PG or whatever. It's not any of that. It's rated PG. So I think that shows where Netflix wants to take it. The audio description is done by International Digital Center. It's written by Liz Gutman and narrated by somebody I did not know. And I thought it was AI. I did. I'm sorry. I don't want to kill your career in audio description, but there are actually some moments here, and I worked with IDC, and I love IDC, and I love Liz. There were a couple moments where the sound ducked so much, and the voice was so sort of flat, and it felt like the kind of thing that I'd heard on, and I was thinking, well, this is technically an international film for Netflix. I wonder if they cheapened out, and uh, went ahead and got an AI track for it. There's times when the description goes and tells us rightly what the characters are doing, but like there's sound effects or the music is swelling behind them so loud that they have to drop it back so much, and it feels like the kind of mix that should have been a little bit more even and not quite dropped back so much. It made me think, on top of the fact that I thought the narrator was a little flat, that it was AI. So I'm here to be honest and not to be mean, but that's my real take on the audio description track for this. So while I thought it was really well written, I've also clocked some audio description tracks for films or TV shows on Netflix being well written, as long as they're coming out of one of the studios that normally writes good audio description tracks. So like IDC and DVW normally do that. And so when they're given a track, but also not given the money to be able to hire a narrator, they still make sure that the track itself is quality. So the writing here is still great. The narrator could have used a little bit more uh, pep in the step. I don't know what to say. It just wasn't really interesting. It didn't feel engaging at all to the film, to the product. Flat is the best way I can describe it. So, and then the sort of the ducking of the sound just really made me think. I was so surprised when it said narrator, Ruby something, I think. And I was like, no, this can't be human. No, damn it. So, uh, you can't change my opinion though. I can't be like, well, then I have to give it a pass. So those are my thoughts. That's Lost in Starlight. Should you watch it? We haven't really had a lot of great animation this year. I don't really know why not. It's You're probably starved for it at this point. So, by all means, you know, we're missing sort of that great, that one big fantastic animated film that took over. We haven't had that yet. I mean, we might get it soon. We've got Elio or whatever coming out, but even we've got the How to Train Your Dragon movies live action. So I don't know what the answer is. Lilo and Stitch with live action. The things that should have been animated are live action. So I will give Lost in Starlight B. I thought it was interesting. I think it's interesting because it's animated, not as interesting because the film itself is uniquely interesting. It's just interesting for an animated movie. So I think that's where we have to be careful, is a lot of people are excited about it because it's continuing to move a medium forward in ways that we don't normally use it to just tell a normal story without really like a fantasy element to it. Which I've seen films that deal with really heavy topics. What was the one where the girl was carrying the chair around the whole movie? But ultimately, those always end up having some kind of a fantasy lean to it. This one doesn't really have that. It doesn't really go that science fiction, except for the fact that there are missions to Mars, which is something we're kind of planning on doing within the near future anyway. So, it's not really that far removed in terms of being a fantasy or sci-fi movie from actual reality. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Lost in Starlight. So, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hope you join the cult by clicking like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the other side.